Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be telling you about the top 20 new releases that I'm looking forward to in 2016. There are so many great books that are coming out next year, so I want to share with you guys the ones that I'm looking forward to reading the most. The books that I'm going to be talking about are in no particular order. They're not like listed by release date or anything because I just made a list of the ones that I was most excited for and I didn't sort them, so sorry. But the beginning ones are January releases. So the first book that I'm really looking forward to is Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. That book is coming out on January 5th and it is basically a book about friendship. It's a YA fantasy about two girls. One of them is a truth witch, one of them is a different kind of witch. I think it's a thread witch. She can see like the different relationships between people, and there is a war that is coming, so the two of them need to kind of work together and make sure that they don't fall into like that nobody really tries to use them as a weapon in this upcoming war. So it's the first book in a series and it looks like amazing and I've only heard great things about it so far. The next book that I have on my list is Passenger by Alexandra Bracken. I've actually already read this book, but it's so good that I couldn't not include it. I just fell in love with like the writing and the ship in the book between the main character Etta and the other main character Nicholas is just like so incredible. And the two of them are basically like traveling together through time to try to find this ancient artifact in order to like make sure that all of the time streams aren't messed up. So it's really, really exciting. It's really different. It's not following like any kind of formula and it's just so well written and so amazing. And I love the story and everything that she created. And also it's a book where time travel is actually really easy to follow because the way that Alexandra Bracken explains it, it's very approachable. The next book that I have on my list is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, and this is going to be the fourth and final book in the Raven Cycle quartet. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't want to spoil it if you haven't read it, but it is such a beautifully written series. It follows a group of boys named the Raven Boys and their friend Blue, who is the daughter of a bunch of psychics. And while she doesn't have the ability herself, she has the power to enhance their ability to hear when she's around them. So they're all in search of a ley line and looking for this ancient king, and it just the build-up from the first three books, I cannot wait to see how it's going to pan out in the fourth book. The Raven King is coming out on April 26th. The next book that I have on my list is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This is a YA contemporary novel and it is about a girl named Andy who like seemingly has everything planned out and everything all together, and she is the daughter of a politician, but then there is an unexpected scandal and it kind of changes all of her plans, and it's just about finding like excitement and enjoyment in the unexpected everything. So it just seems like a contemporary that's going to be like right up my alley, and obviously I love Morgan Matson's writing, so I'm really looking forward to this one, and it's coming out on May 3rd. The next book that I have on my list is The Siren by Kira Cass. This book was actually previously published, but it's being re-released, I believe, by HarperCollins. It is about a girl who joins this like sisterhood of sirens, and they're expected to lead a very lonely life. They're only really allowed to communicate with the ocean, but obviously something's gonna happen. This human man comes into her life and things start to get very interesting and different, and I just really liked Kira Cass's Selection series, so I'm looking forward to reading this book. I'm not sure if it's going to be part of a series, but I think it is, so we'll see how it goes. And this one is being re-released on January 26th. The next book that I have on my list is This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. This is the first book in the Monsters of Verity series. This follows a boy named August and a girl named Kate, and they are living in a world where there is a war going on between monsters in the north and monsters in the south. So they meet up with each other and they are the ones that are trying to like find peace between the monsters and the humans, and they're obviously on the run, and it sounds like it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to reading more YA by Victoria Schwab. And This Savage Song is coming out on June 7th. The next book that I have on my list is Sword and Verse by Kathy McMillan. This book is coming out on January 16th. This book is about a girl named Reza who was taught by her father how to read and write when she was very young, and that is something that is kind of forbidden in this society. So the person who was in charge of teaching other people before her gets executed, and then Reza is the one that's chosen to take over her place. But obviously it's like a very stressful kind of situation because she could end up being executed too. And then she ends up becoming close with the prince, so things get a little bit complicated. It just sounds like it's going to be a great new addition to the YA fantasy world. The next book that I have on my list is Into the Dim by Janet B. Taylor, and this book follows a girl named Hope. It's kind of described as an Outlander for teenagers, so I was a little bit hesitant about it at first because I did not like Outlander and I did not even finish it, but the premise of this sounds very promising. It's also a time travel story. It also takes place in Scotland, and Hope is going to be traveling through time to try to save her mother, but she only has 72 hours to do it, and she meets a guy on the way who could possibly help her in this challenge. Or complicate things, who knows? I guess I'll find out when I read it. But it sounds like it's going to be really interesting, and it's coming out on March 1st. The next book that I have on my list is These Vicious Masks by Taryn Shanker and Kelly Zekis. And this is actually one of the books that I'm probably most excited for next year because it was pitched as Jane Austen meets X-Men, and it's a paranormal romance story that takes place in Victorian London. So it just, like, there are so many elements in that sound appealing to me. And These Vicious Masks comes out on February 9th. The next book that I have on my list is A Gathering of Shadows. This is also by Victoria Schwab, but it's under her pseudonym V.E. Schwab because it's an adult book, and it's the second book in the A Darker Shade of Magic series. So I'm really looking forward to finding out what else is happening with Kel and Lila. I don't want to spoil anything within the first book, but it is a very interesting world that Victoria has created where there are multiple Londons, and there is this main character named Kel and his companion Lila, and they're able to travel between the Londons. It was actually one of my favorite books of 2015, so I'm really looking forward to finding out what's going to happen next. And this is coming out on February 23rd. The next book on my list is another sequel, and that is The Shadow Hour by Melissa Gray. This is the second book in the Girl at Midnight trilogy, and it follows a girl named Echo who is such an awesome main character. Like, she's very bold and brave, and she does not care what anyone thinks about her. She just speaks her mind all the time, which sometimes tends to get her in trouble. But she is on a quest to find something. I can't remember if that something is revealed in the first book, so I'm not going to say what it is. But she is on a quest to find something in order to try to stop a war that is going on between these two races. One of them's kind of like bird people and one of them's like dragon people. And it's just really beautifully written and really engaging. And I love that they are traveling throughout all these different countries. So it's like really enjoyable to read. And I'm really looking forward to reading the next installment. And The Shadow Hour is coming out on July 12th. The next book that I am really looking forward to is actually an anthology that is edited by Stephanie Perkins. It's called Summer Days and Summer Nights, and it is 12 love stories all set during the summertime. It's very similar to the other book that was released that you've probably heard about a ton, which is called My True Love Gave to Me, and that's all Christmas stories. So this is essentially like the same kind of idea, except it's summer romances, and it's still going to be edited by Stephanie Perkins, but there are going to be new authors in this book. I'm really looking forward to reading the stories by Leigh Bardugo and Libba Bray. There's also going to be a story by Lev Grossman, who wrote the Magicians trilogy, and Nina LaCour, and Veronica Roth, and Jennifer E. Smith. So I think that this is going to be just a great, fun, contemporary summer read. And Summer Days and Summer Nights comes out on June 14th. The next book on my list is Calamity by Brandon Sanderson, and this book is the third book, and it's the conclusion to the Reckoners trilogy. The premise of the series is that it follows a group of rebels who call themselves the Reckoners, and they are fighting against epics. Epics are people that just mysteriously got superpowers one day, and they essentially are like if superheroes were just supervillains and ruled by fear. So they're trying to take down like these three huge epics to try to like reclaim the world for the humans. And it's really exciting, really well written. It's Brandon Sanderson, so you know that it's going to be good. And yeah, I can't wait to read that. The third book is called Calamity, and it comes out on February 16th. The next book that I have on my list is A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series by Sarah J. Maas. This is more of a new adult series, and it follows our main character, Feyre, who ends up becoming involved in the fairy world, and there were all these different courts, and it's really, really, really well written. It's a really great story, and the ending of the first book was just like insane. So I'm actually thinking of rereading that next year right before the second book comes out because I loved it so much, and I cannot wait to find out what's going to happen next. A Court of Mist and Fury does not yet have a cover. Also looking forward to when that is released, but it's going to be on sale on May 3rd. The next book on my list is the conclusion to the Wrath and the Dawn duology by Renee Ahdieh, and that is The Rose and the Dagger. It's a retelling of Arabian Nights, so it's about a girl who volunteers herself to be the next bride of the Khalid because he, for a really long time, has just been taking a new bride every night, and then by the morning she's dead. So she wants to get revenge for her best friend, and she decides to volunteer for this position, and then she becomes the only bride that makes it more than one night, and the story really takes off from there, and you find out more about his situation and her situation, and it's just like very complicated but really, really interesting, and oh my god, I can't wait for the next one. And The Rose and the Dagger is also coming out on May 3rd. The next book on my list is Summer of Sloan by Erin L. Schneider. This is a YA contemporary, and it is set in Hawaii, which sounds really cool. It's about a girl who is planning on spending the summer with her mom and her twin brother in Hawaii, and I believe they're staying in Honolulu. And she finds out a really bad secret about her boyfriend and her best friend right before she leaves, so I would imagine that they cheated together. Just that seems like the most obvious thing. So, she ends up having a much more difficult time when she gets to Hawaii but she decides to kind of like fall into the culture and go to bonfires and like meet new friends and make just new acquaintances and try to kind of live for herself. But even though she's doing that, she still can't ignore everything that had gone on back home. So it's really a book about her like trying to find herself and trying to accept the situation, decide what she's willing to forgive and forget, and also possibly open herself up to new love, even though she's obviously been hurt in the past. So that sounds like it's going to be really good, and that also comes out on May 3rd. The next book that I have on my list is Heartless by Marissa Meyer, and this book is a YA retelling of The Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. So I am really excited for this. I already know that Marissa Meyer does a wonderful job with fairy tale retellings, so I'm really looking forward to seeing her take on this character. It's the first book in a series. I'm not sure how long the series is going to be, and the series is still untitled, and there's no cover yet either, but still exciting. Heartless comes out on November 8th, so that is one that is like for sure one that I've already pre-ordered. The next book on my list is The Winner's Kiss by Marie Rutkowski, and this is the conclusion to the Winner's trilogy. It is a book that has had a lot of controversy surrounding it lately because of the horrible cover change, which I actually made a video about, and I will link that down below. But the publisher has made the best decision ever and has decided to release the third book with the original cover, so everyone who was as upset as me is probably a lot happier now. I've chalked it up to being a Christmas miracle. And the conclusion to the trilogy, The Winner's Kiss, comes out on March 29th. The last one that I'm going to be talking about today is called A Study in Charlotte, and it's by Brittany Cavallaro. This is the first book in the Charlotte Holmes trilogy, and it follows the great-great-grandson of John Watson, whose name is Jamie Watson, and the great-great-granddaughter of Sherlock Holmes, who is Charlotte Holmes, and the two of them aren't really interested in becoming friends with one another. They kind of want to distance themselves from their predecessors. They end up being kind of thrown into some things together, and then somehow they end up both being the prime suspects in a murder case when a student at their school disappears. So they obviously have to kind of work together to solve this mystery and prove that they're being framed, which sounds like it would be really interesting. And A Study in Charlotte comes out on March 1st. So those are the top 20 books that I am looking forward to reading in 2016. I would love to know what new releases you guys are anticipating. You can leave them down in the comments below. Sorry if I didn't say a book that you're really looking forward to, but hopefully you were able to discover some new ones that I talked about, and you'll be excited for them too. And I'm sure that we'll be talking about them again as we progress throughout the year, because I know I'm reading like most of them the day that they come out. So that's all that I have for this video. I hope that everybody has a really happy new year, and I will see you guys soon with a new video. Bye!